There's a lot of dynamics when you have an electric guitar with an amp and then you introduce a pedal. Depending on the pedal, depending upon the amp, and depending upon the guitar, you're going to get totally different sounds out of it. Whether it's a humbucker guitar, whether it's single coil guitars, whether it's a 5-watt amp, whether it's a 50-watt amp or a 100-watt amp, the type of pedal that you're using, whether it's reverb or tremolo or distortion or gain or fuzz, all of these things matter a lot. The coolest thing about it is it doesn't have to be perfect. It's all perspective. Play around with it. You'll get tons of different tones out of mixing and matching stuff. I love doing this for kids. This is 13-year-old. Hell of a player. He writes his own music, does all this cool stuff, and he bought this guitar from me, and he wants to be able to play it on stage. It didn't have a pickup with it, so I just put a pickup system in it for him. This is an Ibanez gem, and this bar has gotten stuck. They're friction bars, so they don't screw in. They just go in by friction. And it's stuck. So I'm going to see if I can take this back assembly off and get it that way. This nut's turning, so that's a good sign.
It's like machined together.
It's kind of like fused together now, isn't it?
Yeah. I told them we're probably going to have to buy a new tremolo and just start over.
Surely there's a way. So this is the Trem bar, and it's stuck inside of this piece because it just sits by friction. I think actually there looks like there's a little clip ring here. I don't know if that's a clip ring or if it's just part of the machining on it.
I get a shot of the label because his handwriting is on it, Mr. Friederich, and it's dated 1964.
Tell me about this one.
So this is a 1964 Daniel Friederich. It's made with a spruce top and rosewood back and sides. I believe it's Brazilian rosewood. And Daniel Friederich made classical guitars from 1959 until about 2015 when he retired. And this one was made in 1964, and he even has handwriting in there to Camille from Daniel Friederich. So somebody named Camille ordered this guitar in 1964.
All right, try again. No worries.
Just got a beautiful warm sound.
You always bring the coolest guitars. I didn't know you had this, so I've never heard you talk about this. What is this?
This is a Collings OM body size acoustic guitar, finished in ebony, which you don't see too many of these finished in ebony. And this one has a spruce top, and it has cocobolo wood for the back and sides, and you can see how they match the two sides. They basically split the wood and then they make a two-piece and then make it into one piece back. But
And I'm sorry for
just an amazing guitar, and Collings, they're right out of Austin, Texas, and they just make a beautiful, beautiful guitar. So this one is a 1977 Gibson Les Paul Standard. This one is finished with a plain maple top and finished in a natural finish. The back of the body is mahogany, so you've got mahogany with a maple top on it. And then they also made the necks back in the 70s. They were made out of maple as well, so you can see the difference in the finish of the two woods as they come together. And over the years, Gibson made some changes with these guitars. Sometime in the 80s, they went to a mahogany neck, so when you look at a later model, all of this wood will look like it matches. But this features a T-top pickup. Back from 1968 until probably about 80, they used what they call a T-top pickup, and that's what's in this guitar, along with mother of pearl inlays, and of course the Gibson logo on the headstock as well. Really great playing instrument, and just sounds wonderful through an amplifier. Today what we brought with us here is a Fender Champ tube amp clone, so all tube construction. My son-in-law Ryan actually built the tube amp for me, the chassis, did all the soldering and everything. The louder you turn it up, which we can't do here, but the louder you turn it up, the more it breaks up, and it's got a real nice sound to it. The pedal is a Greer Lightspeed, and this is an overdrive pedal. That pedal through my high watt amp sounds amazing. Through this amp, not as much. It's a little muddier, and that's really not anything's fault. It's just a matter of, do the components work together? So they're just, you know, it's still fine. I mean, you can hear it. It's got a good distorted tone.
What Dave's saying is, there are some amps that work great with pedals. There's some amps that don't work as good.
Yeah.
And it's silly, but we refer to it as a pedal amp, or it's not a pedal amp.
Yeah.
And it just has to do with the circuitry, the way it's set up, the type of pedals that you run through it. Dave was talking about his high watt at home, which is 50 watts?
50 watts, yeah.
50 watts, monster amp. It's just going to sound different than this is a 5 watt amp.
Exactly.
So, and that's the fun of this, is you can play around with different amps, different pedal configurations on humbuckers, single coils, all types of different guitars. That's the coolest thing about what we're passionate about, is you can get so many different tones out of stuff if you're just willing to play around with it a little bit. Not one size fits all.
The less powerful the tube amp is, the more you're going to want to crank it up to get a breakup sound, a natural tube breakup. So with a 5 watt, you've really got to try to crank it up. This particular amp that we brought today, if you just have it on the lower volume, it's just got a very clean sound. And so if you're looking for some overdrive or tube driven sound, you've got to turn the volume up. So if you introduce a pedal to it, that helps you keep the volume low and still get maybe an overdriven sound that you'd like to have out of it. And today we bought a Greer Lightspeed with us, which is an overdrive pedal. And the thing is, though, it's all trial and error. You put a different pedal with a different guitar with a different amp, and you get a different sound. It's not a direct formula. So basically what happens is, if I play this same guitar with the Greer Lightspeed through my high watt 50 watt tube head and cabinet that I have at home, I get a much better sound, much more brilliant sound that I'm going to get out of an 8-inch speaker 5 watt tube amp that I brought with us today. It's just all different. Not bad.
Sounds great.